I had a job, I would go. I was an essential worker in the hospital, so
It took me.
Oh, I'm
very
sorry,
like,
the brother is praying and we were talking.
Oh,
Huh?
yeah, he's doing sunnah. It took about,
Hmm?
for me, it took about 7, 8 minutes.
You came from far away.
Clean the
So
car.
how are the roads?
So when I was cleaning the car, I said, I'd rather pray the sunnah, you know? So,
Oh, this probably needs a battery or something.
Hmm?
Is it working?
Yes. Yes. How's the roads and everything outside?
Roads are fine, it's just the drive there.
the local road is not.
There are more trucks on the road than the cars.
You have to drive slow.
Okay.
Yeah,
But when I woke up, I asked my phone. It says it's snowing. Was it snowing?
Stop. Snow stopped.
It just started again.
It started again.
Just a little bit.
Started snow
Yes.
over there?
Yes.
Oh. No, here no snow, it will stop.
Between Baltimore County and Howard County, it's snowing, you know, right in the border area.
Okay. Yeah, my phone said it was snowing. Yeah. And I thought for sure nobody will come. Yeah, but alhamdulillah, those mujahideen are here.
And Sheikh Mahmoud, I was thinking that you are here, so the salah will not be missed.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
Remember when we were in the other place, you had to come
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
to the house.
Exactly.
So sometimes few minutes later here, but here you are, so
Yeah.
the salah will be.
Alhamdulillah. 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 بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين ورحمة الله للعالمين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعه إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. Inshallah, we'll have a khatira and we'll continue next week. So the brothers who are coming every week can continue inshallah with us. Okay. Inshallah, today we'll reflect on how Islam, Jazakallah khairan, Jazakallah khair. How Islam spread on earth in a very short time. Because it is a phenomena that happened that nothing like it happened before and nothing like it happened after it. Okay? Usually the civilizations, okay, as we go back in history, civilizations meaning group of people that they live together and they develop a certain way of living and a certain rules and regulations among themselves, and they start their relationship and the way they do things. It becomes apparent around them, meaning there is an evidence that the people were here, and they become advanced in certain things as they learn and so forth, and they become a nation that has certain qualities and a certain advancement and so forth. So, and they leave behind them inheritance of culture, if you will. Okay? So that takes a long time to develop, right? It takes a long time, and this very slowly it happened. and any isms as we know it today, right? All the, communism, whatever ism, socialism, and whatever it is, you find a way of rhythm about it. It starts by ideas that maybe one person would have, or just a couple of people. And they would write about it, they would talk about it, okay? And some would grasp this idea and expand on it. And then a generation would come and try to implement this idea, right? And then another generation, you find where you're going to find the fruit of this idea and its application. So it takes a long time to come up. The curve goes very slowly up. But when it comes down and it falls very sharp. Within a short time, it is gone. So, the Muslim civilizations, if you will, it was the opposite. Okay? It went up very quickly, right? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came up with an idea, not came up, the revelation, al-wahy came with the idea of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. And he propagated sallallahu alayhi wasallam within his lifetime. And the generation that was with him, they understood it. And the same generation implemented, and the same generation saw the fruit of it. That did not happen before, ever, or after. Okay? It is the same generation that the idea comes, and it is propagated, and it is implemented, and the fruit of it is there. So it went up straight. Okay? Now, it came down, but it took a long time to come down. Right? That is strange phenomenal to historians. We know why it happened. It is with the tawfiq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it is not a trial and error. It is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? This is right and this is wrong. Right? Khalas, it is done. You implement it, you get the fruit. And the concept itself is simple. The concept itself is simple to explain, is simple to understand, but at the same time it is very deep. It's very deep, right? How? You know the pyramid of Maslow? Okay, that is the new, world, they go by this, and who is, a thinker who came up with a pyramid. He said that when does the human being becomes, or mankind becomes enlightened? And he said, for mankind to become enlightened, they need certain issues that is to be completed in their lives. Then they will become enlightened. What is it? He said, first, they want resources, food, right? Meaning that to be able to eat and drink, the sources for food. And then the society needs shelter to be protected in. Then the society needs safety to be living in it, right? So now you have a person who is living in a place who is safe, okay, being protected. There is law to protect them and so forth. They are feeling comfortable and safe. And they have a shelter around them, protecting them, okay, a place they're living in. And they have resources, food that's coming and so forth. And then he said, that is when enlightenment happened. Meaning now such people would sit and reflect on the universe, right? Where we're coming from, what is this about, and start now to develop a society that can be enlightened and enlighten others and so forth. That is the pyramid that he has. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took the companions that pyramid was upside down with them, right? Was upside down. Because he said, Maslow was saying that the last thing is the enlightenment that you get. But with the pyramid, if you will, or the steps that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took the companions in, was the opposite. Okay, example of that when they were in Mecca. And they were not able to, or they were not told to hold the sword by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They were forbidden to fight. And they were being oppressed. So when they were oppressed and they were put into Sha'b Abi Talib for 3 years, right? So when they were there, they did not have food, they did not have any resources, they did not have any safety, okay? And they were living in fear, nothing. It is the opposite of the pyramid that he was talking about, Maslow talking about, right? But they were the most enlightened people ever walked on earth. Because Rasulullah ﷺ was among them, and the revelation was coming down, and they were being taught. So the enlightenment was coming to them, the understanding of where they came from, what this life is about, and what is the afterlife is like. It became clear coming from the source of the create Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who created the heavens and the earth, right? So now, such people, Allah trained them through this environment. So the most important thing to them was al-wahy, and nothing else is matter, right? Versus human being looking for this life to be comfortable, to think and ponder and so forth. No. Okay? Having this truth and implemented should be with you all the time, even if you have no resources whatsoever, no safety whatsoever. Okay? I mean, they were out of their homes. There were no homes to take them. Okay? There were no food coming to them. Okay? It was a concentration camp with no supplies. Period. Okay? Now, so such a group went through that training. Okay? And now, fast forward when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam died, what happened to them? It seems, if you look at it from far away from outside, as a historian, you think that Islam is gone, is done. It is the end of Islam. Why? The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam died. Those who entered Islam, they left Islam. Many of them left Islam. The tribes who came late in Islam. Some of them who remained Muslim changed what Islam is by saying we're not going to give zakah anymore, right? And some decided to come and attack Medina, to take over Medina. Okay, so you look at it like that, you say, it is done. You know, all this happened in vain. Okay? But what happened? Those who lasted at the end there, holding on still, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used them. And we know what happened without going to so much details. We know that Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, what he did, and even though there were small numbers, and fought those who did not want to pay zakah anymore, and send an army out, okay, who Rasulullah ﷺ prepared that army. He said, I'm not going to undo something Rasulullah ﷺ started. Who am I to do that? They told him that many people now are out of Islam. We are very weak now, you know, and we need to protect this. He said, no, I'm not going to untie something Rasulullah ﷺ did. And let the army go out, okay? So, fast forward, we know what happened during the time of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, and how Islam, the openings were all over. That's for 2 years. Umar radiallahu anhu comes, and the openings was so much, okay, to the point that Umar radiallahu anhu would send and say, hold back, don't open anymore, don't go any further, okay? We do not have enough people to cover the land that you are opening, right? I mean, just for math, numbers, okay, that would be, you know, taking care of the lands that's opening, we don't have, okay? How many made Hajj with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in Hijjat al-Wada'? How many? It was about 100,000. Okay? That's all. Okay? Those who were holding on, okay, were 100,000. Okay? Now imagine the 100,000 that's from all kind of ages and abilities and so forth, right? Those who came out, very small numbers, and they were, you know, opening all over. Amr ibn al-As radiallahu anhu, he told Umar, convinced him that he wants to go and open Egypt. Okay? And Umar radiallahu anhu was pushed. He said, okay, go. So he went. Now, armies in some other places, they needed help and so forth. And so Umar radiallahu anhu wanted to stop Amr ibn al-As from entering Egypt, to open it, to tell him to come back, because he has other plans for him. So Amr ibn al-As was in the army and moving forward. So a messenger came, or somebody came, he says, there are those who are coming with a message from Umar radiallahu anhu. He was so smart, okay? So he told the army, move forward quick, speed up, keep the distance between him and the messenger are coming, and keep pushing. And he asked, are we in Egypt yet? Are we in Egypt? No, not yet. Until they passed the border, entered. And he said, now go ahead, stop. They stop, the messenger comes with a message from Umar radiallahu anhu. Say to Amr ibn al-As, I want you, if you're not in Egypt already, I want you to come back, okay? And because I have other plans for the army. But if you entered Egypt, you continue, okay? So he knew how Umar radiallahu anhu thinks, okay? But the point is, Egypt opened, okay? Egypt as an example, okay? But I'll take it as an example, but look at the whole world now. 2/3 of the world were open, okay? That also a phenomenon that no historian can figure it out, which was what? When an opening happened, that is one step. The ideas and those who open the land, or the conqueror as they call them, okay, to stay there and their way prevail, they need to stay there, and you know, and there is a difficulty in that. So they need a lot of resources, okay, because there is always a resistance with the occupied against the occupier, right? So now, those openings, the openings happened, and Islam stayed and people stayed and they became Muslim. Okay, how did that happen? When the numbers does not add up. The numbers does not add up. Okay, in order to enter a place, and first the Muslims did not speak the language of the Persian or the Roman language, right? So they come in and they run things in a certain way, but with the language of the locals. So the locals were doing the work, right? Life was going on, okay? With their culture, the culture of the place, the language of the place, and so forth, okay? But a masjid will be built for the small number of Muslims who are there, okay? The small, very small group that will be left back, right? And the teaching of Islam starts, okay? That's all. So you find 2/3 of the world, this is happening in it, right? It took 300 years, which in history is not much at all. That those who were being conquered, opened, if you're conquered, maybe it's not a good word for okay? Because the purpose with opening is to teach Islam. That was the purpose. The purpose is not to take, but it was to give. And people loved what they were getting of justice and knowledge. So they stayed, okay? Meaning they did not resist. And the matter, yes, there was pocket of resistance here and there of rebels and so forth. But, talking about the theme and what was going on was peaceful. Now, in Egypt, for example, the language of Egypt was not Arabic. Okay? Amr ibn al-As, he opened a masjid. It's called Masjid Amr ibn al-As. And you go to Cairo today, you find it. Masjid Amr ibn al-As. Okay? The one who he started. Right? And by the way, it is right by a church that was there as Amr ibn al-As opened Egypt. And the church is still existing. You understand that? When you say that Islam is spread by the sword, you cannot, by numbers, by math, you cannot say Islam is spread by the sword. It doesn't. Whose sword and how many against how many? Right? So, eventually, the Egyptians entered Islam. Eventually, the Egyptians spoke the Arabic language. Eventually, Egypt became the place where, when the Khilafah al-Abbasiyya fell by the Mongols and the Tatar, those Mamalik of Egypt came out and brought the Khilafah back. They were the one who brought the Khilafah back. Not only that, and defeated the Tatar and Mongols, and eventually the Tatar and Mongols became Muslims, and they started building masajid and so forth and so on, right? How did all of that, this is, historians cannot, get a hold of this, okay? How, okay. It is all from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it is by the language itself, okay, that the people used, the people had in the land that were open. They made anybody who has your language, your own language, it makes you look at the world in a certain way. It forces you to look at the world in a certain way, okay? How? There are languages, for example, that does not have nouns. Can you imagine a language does not have a noun? It only have verbs. Okay? If you have you want to talk and you can use only verbs. What is the difference between a verb and a noun? A noun is something that is settled, that stays, that has a long-term kind of existence. Okay? This is a chair. The chair is right here, right? It's not going to go anywhere. And it has a certain quality. And you give me the quality of this chair. Okay? Okay, what is this chair is like? It is brown or it is red, and it is soft, and it is this. All of these are nouns, right? Now, imagine a language does not have a noun. How you look at the world. You look at the world differently. You understand? So when the language of Arabic was taught, and those who took the Arabic language in and understood it, they read the Quran, their view of the world changed. The view of the reality of things changed. Okay? You have those that became scholars. They spoke 4 or 5 languages because they spoke their mother language, and now they learn Arabic and learn other to translate here and there. And actually one of them was saying, he said, I would love for somebody, or love and rather somebody would insult me in Arabic than compliment me in another language. Okay, so he was saying, I love to hear the insult, in Arabic. I don't mind it. Okay, but but don't compliment me with any other language. Okay, so the point is, of course there were many components within this and so forth, and but how Islam went to Europe and entered France, okay, and how it went all the way to the border of China, and the Chinese says, don't worry about it, we'll give you jizya, just don't enter, right? We'll pay the jizya, okay? Otherwise, the Muslims could have entered more and more. We fast forward and look at how the occupiers, eventually the Westerns who came and took over the Muslim land, and what did they do and how they did it. Okay, imagine, India, right? India, who became Muslim, okay? Islam was established there. The Arabic language was established there, okay? Look today, what is the language that's most popular in the world today? English. What are the country that has the most English-speaking people in it? India. Okay, yes, if by numbers, the most English-speaking people live in one country is in India. Okay, so the British succeeded in that. You understand? It was times in Algeria that you have to speak French, okay, and if you are caught, working for the government or doing this or that, speaking Arabic, there was a law that came out that you will be executed. Death is the penalty, okay? And if you want anything to do in the government, you have to request in writing and this in French and so forth, right? There were no borders between, Spain and China. There were no borders. Imagine that. Imagine that you leave your house and you don't have a country that you say that you're going outside of the country. No, you are in the Khilafah of Muslims, okay, Muslim Khilafah. So you can move anywhere in this, right? The culture of Islam spread, so you find the practices are the same, with some different culture, slightly because of the culture, the old culture. So you find the women in Africa would wear niqab a little bit, with maybe more colorful and this and that than the one in the Middle East, for example, or the Arab, Arabic speaking. Or the Arabs will wear the long thobe, and in other culture will wear it a little bit shorter or a lot shorter and so forth, right? But the how to do things is a little different. But why they're doing things, it was all the same. Give you an example. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Al-Iman, many branches, right? The beginning of it, what? La ilaha, shahadat an la ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. And then the least of it is what? Is moving the harm from the path. Imatat al-adha an al-tariq. Okay? That is part of the Iman. It's something harmful in the path, you move it. Right? And in between, there are many branches, right? To be good to your parents, to be honest, to be trustworthy. You're dealing with this, all many branches, right? Now, get someone who's not a Muslim, who carries many branches of Iman, because he's honest, he's trustworthy, he moves the harm from the path, he's good to his parents, he's, does not deal with riba, he's, okay. Let us say he has 90%, 95% of the branches of Iman. So, and a Muslim, could we say now this kafir and a Muslim, they are very close, and they are, it doesn't really matter because they share 95% of the qualities, so they are the same? We say no, absolutely not. Why? Because the Muslim carries first La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, the other one it doesn't, right? So you cannot say they are even close. Even the kafir carry all these branches of the Rasulullah called the branches of Iman. Okay? But if you're not carrying this, you're not looking at the world the same way. That's the point. Right? You look at the kafir and how he's implementing the branches of this Iman. He does not call it Iman at all. He calls it humanity, he calls it decency, he calls it whatever, equality, he calls it whatever it is. Right? He's looking at the world that way. He's looking at his existence that way. Versus a Muslim doing all of this, but carry La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, the way he looks at the world was different. Because Allah is part of the equation here. Okay? So you find that genuine change happen within humanity. Okay? That now this world is looking at these people in the world, looking at the existence of life differently, looking at death differently. So therefore, their relationship and so forth became something very unique. Okay, so when the conqueror comes in and tries to destroy this, got to do something about this language that is connecting all these people together. Okay? Because he cannot do anything about that Quran. Right? They tried many, the Quran is going to stay there. Okay, let us make them not understand it. Okay? Let's make them, just look at it on the surface. okay, shallow things, you know, external kind of work and all of this. And put some borders on the certain countries. Let us encourage certain tribes to have borders around them, and encourage nationalism. Another word, encourage that people would get together, unite around something else, something different than what all of this united around. Okay? So you find, you know, they would unite around their tribe, around their culture, around this, and now the Muslim world is breaking apart here and there and so forth. So the point in all of that is, when we look, and this was a very quick, you know, review or looking at this. You know, as one put it, one day, put it in a beautiful way. He said, since the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and there were, let us say, cards. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam started this, and this happened, and that happened. And then look at history as the way I said it now, but now if you repeat it in details, all kind of details. It has flashcards. This happened, okay, and then this happened, and this Islam, this and this, that, until now you have a stack like this with the culture of Islam and the religion of Islam and the mu'minun and so forth, and the civilization of Islam, right? Until the Ottoman Empire, okay? Let's say somebody, you know, tripped the person who has the cards went all over the place, right? And we're trying to collect the cards now. And we try to put it together, but now we have different opinions, which card comes first and which second, which third, which 100, which 1,000. And we're sort of confused of what to do now, which is more important than what, and so forth, right? Unless we go back to how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam put these, for the lack of better, you know, example now, these cards together, little by little, okay? And we go to these steps, and how the Muslims afterwards went through the world, okay, and bring, you know, offer this, and how they offer it to humanity. Unless we know this and take these steps as they took it and understand it the way they understood it, and look at the world the way they were looking at it, okay, then success will not be with us. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not see us as a sharp tool to be used, but will be, as we are, dull, you know, rusted tool that needs a lot of work to shine again. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Please, if you would like to make any comments now, or I hope this is. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. Yes. Yes, yes. Bismillah.
You know, as we are trying to convey message to non-Muslims around us, and you know, the steps our community, our leaders, you know, trying to focus there. Okay, let's share the translation of Quran, like in English or in any language, right? I have seen in Bangladesh, people before read Quran couldn't understand anything, or just reading Arabic, you know?
Yes.
But now at least it helps because
Of course.
now they have the meaning.
The concept is very important. Yes.
In a very, as you say,
Yes.
very rough level,
Yes.
but still they have now, they are reading one ayah and now they know the Bengali meaning, the translation. But I have seen, because I was in Bangladesh for like almost 8-9 years. Came back in 2018. And the young generation, even parents, it's very scary because they have the Quran in translation. They just read that. There is no step to learn more, you know. So yes, they are. We are praying. We just learn the very basics, and then we keep that up. But when these parents or this young generation will become parents, and then the tendency to learn Arabic will kind of like go away. You know what I mean? You know, slowly, because it takes time, right? So that's kind of scary. And you know, so it's very important for us to really emphasize learning Quran as much. Quran means Arabic. So I mean, it's so essential. Rather than
Yeah, and to become one nation, the Muslim Ummah, if they have that one language, do you become one people? I'm going to tell you something that's amazing. Okay. I saw it as amazing. The Hebrew language, right? It would disappeared for over 1,000 years. Okay? There was no Hebrew for 1,000 years, more than 1,000 years, right? And one person decided that he's going to revive the Hebrew, right? So he can bring the Jewish people together, you know, in that united within this language. It is very important that a civilization, people would be speaking the same language to have the same culture to become a country or so, right? So he went to Palestine. That's way before, 48, before, when it used to be still Palestine and belonging to the Muslims there. And he brought resources, okay, of the language and tried to put the alphabet back. And okay, he found that there are many things that are lost, especially in the discipline of engineering, medicine, this and that, all subjects were lost, right? And does not have the expressions. He went to Egypt and he got the Arabic sources and dictionaries for these disciplines, okay? Because it is very close to Hebrew. And he took the Arabic and through it was able to bring some Hebrew words and so forth to establish a teaching system with Hebrew from kindergarten until graduating from college, okay? It was just one family, right? And he started by putting groups. You have one person who learned some and he teach others here and there in Palestine. Okay? By the time the Jewish people coming in from all over to take over and occupy Palestine, there already the culture of Hebrew was surviving and being revived. Okay? We have the Quran among us who is keeping this, keeping the language sound, okay? Where is it? Where is it around us? Yeah. What do you think, brother? Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Alhamdulillah, there are initiatives now among the adults and
Yes.
trying to understand. Really, I mean, nowadays, I mean, I seen even my father, when he retired from his job, like at the age of he started taking class, Arabic class, and there was some sheikh who were in Middle East. They were doctors, engineers, so they retired, they came back to Bangladesh, you know? And so they studied Arabic when they were there. So that it's like there are initiatives now.
Yes,
That, you know,
yes.
and alhamdulillah, this actually, because we have the strong base, like Quran, you know, what we have the Quran. So there's nothing solid than
Yeah.
that. So yes, alhamdulillah, yes.
Yeah, I was amazed too on the net. I was looking for something, and there were those who are selling products, okay? And these products were made in Korea, okay, and some of these countries in the Far East. And because there is a big market in the Middle East, the Arab world, those who were selling it, they were advertised for it, talking about it, and giving all the details in Arabic, who were Koreans, okay? And women and men speaking Fusha that I cannot speak. For business. Yeah.
Sorry, Brother Hamid, I interrupted you.
No, I don't have it. But I'm glad I took Arabic as a second language in my school. Because we were like 40 in one class. And out of that, 8 people took Arabic. They're all Muslims. It's an all Muslim school. And Urdu medium. So second language they start teaching in the 8th grade. You know, in the 8th grade until the end, in 11th grade.
MashaAllah.
11th grade. So you will have second language. So you have a choice of Arabic and Persian. So out of the 40 people, majority took Persian because it was easy, more.
Close to the Urdu, yeah.
Huh?
Close to Urdu.
Yeah, and only 8 people. And then after a while, within a month, 2 people dropped out. So only 6 people were left. And I was going to drop out. I told my teacher used to come with a suit and everything for Arabic teacher, but he knew Arabic very well, So I told him, I'm going to drop also. He said, why? Why you want to drop? You're Muslim, you should know Arabic, you can understand Quran and all these things with this. So I said, what is your problem? So I told him. So he's, I told him that the grammar is very difficult for me to understand, Arabic grammar. So there is only 2 parts of the grammar, sarf and nahl. Sarf is just repeating everything. What is the problem with you? So he gave me an idea, that the gardan, you do fa'ala, 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 fa'ala. These are only 14 parts. So you can understand. And you memorize it. That's it. And I stayed in the class. All right? And the whole of Maharashtra state, we have different states. I was the first in Arabic. Because I understood grammar so well that I got 100% marks in the grammar, So, and I got a prize. They used to give a prize, 100 rupees, and I got a watch with that one. So it is, Arabic language is difficult. It was very difficult for me, but the intention is very important. I took the language so that I can understand Quran. And then it took a long time after that. I was in Saudi Arabia for 6 years, and then they used to give free lessons in Arabic. you know, the company that I was in, so you could go. So it was, I kept pursuing. It was difficult, but, you know, alhamdulillah, you know, I can understand quite a bit.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
Inshallah, within 3 weeks we'll start a class. We'll start a class in 3 weeks, inshallah.
Class, huh?
We'll start an Arabic class in 3 weeks, inshallah.
Really?
Yes,
You're going to start Arabic class?
inshallah.
The grammar and everything?
Yes,
Oh,
inshallah.
I used to teach Arabic. Yeah.
Sheikh Mahmoud, is this
That's how
class
I
for the
started.
basic beginners?
Beginner.
And is it for the adults or?
Yes. Just the prerequisite is just to know how to read Arabic. If you know how to read, then you can come to the class. So we're not going to teach the Qaida Nuraniya as reading, but after a person knows how to read, the Quran and everything, then we can get that, inshallah.
Yeah, you teach Qaida Nuraniya here, no?
For the kids, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We had the same thing in Sunday school, Qaida
Yes.
Nuraniya.
Yes. Yes. And we'll be using the book, inshallah, of the Medina book that they use for the non-Arabic speakers who come in to study in the University of Medina. For 2 years they learn the Arabic and then they start their learning with English, with Arabic. Yeah. So we'll be using that book, and the emphasis in that book is on grammar.
Grammar,
Yeah.
Yeah, once you understand the grammar, it's so simple, everything, the concept.
Now, is there a registration thing right now?
Yeah. Stay tuned. Yeah, we will advertise for it, inshallah. Yeah. And it will be on site and also, inshallah, online.
So it will keep, like, if someone far away cannot.
Yes.
they can
Yes.
do on virtual.
Yes. Inshallah. Amir will be helping that, inshallah.
So the Arabic grammar, with the exception, it is derived from Quran itself. Because based on the Quran, the concept in the grammar.
Well,
Yeah, most of the other languages. So, they have to be
The Quran is with the language that existed.
the language of the
That
Quran.
the Quran was revealed
Yeah,
by the language that existed at the time.
existed there, yes.
Yes.
Right.
So the grammar was there before the Quran was revealed.
Grammar was already there.
Of course. Okay. The poetry, the Jahiliyyah
Yeah,
poetry,
the poetry, yes,
the Jahiliyyah poetry.
of course.
When you want to understand the Quran, go to the Jahiliyyah poetry
Yeah,
and go to the words that you want to know and see how it was used,
sure,
and you understand the Quran.
yeah. Of course, yeah. The poetry was,
I do not consider myself a really Arabic speaking person because of, I speak Ammiya as I was growing up, not Fusha, right? The Ammiya was just like in Saudi Arabia when you talk in the street and so forth, you speak Ammiya, right?
of course.
Yeah.
But it's